Whether we're going to look at scatter chart or reports, it is the clients that are on the list here on the right side, which are going to be the clients that are reported on. Whatever we see here will be reported on over here. So as you can see at the moment, there are 28 clients on this bills open client list at the moment. And if we click on scatter chart, we're taken to the scatter chart for those clients. Of those clients, 16 clients will have had one or other of these measures used with them. And you can see the chart controls for scatter chart work exactly the same as they do for the normal chart. You can choose all, none, or whichever ones you're interested in looking at. So here we're looking at the Core 10 and the ORS for these clients. Now what you can see here, each dot represents the scores. The light blue color is with the ORS, the dark blue color is with the Core. And each scoring point represents one client, and it's the combination of the score the client had when they first came in for treatment and the last available score. Now, as we look at this here, this dotted line along here, the diagonal, represents no change. If a client came in with a particular score and left at the end of treatment with exactly the same score, then they will be on this dotted line. However, any clients that have come in with a score and gone out with an improved score will be over here to the right side of that line. And you can see in this case there are just 2 clients to the left side of it. On the other hand, any clients to the left side of the line will have actually deteriorated somewhat in treatment. So let's look at an example of this. By hovering on this particular client, you can see the intake score and the exit score. Let's just click on that case now, and we're taken over here. The ORS, if we look at ORS on its own, shows an intake score of 6 and an exit score of 2.2. So a deterioration. So when we go back again and look at this on the scatter chart, here we have showing us exactly that. As we hover on that scoring point, you can see it shows the intake score of 6 and the exit score of 2.2. On the other hand, looking at another example of this Core 10 scoring point down here, this client came in with a score of 25 and left with a score of 11. So again, let's just jump to the chart for that client, and let's just look at Core 10 on its own, and we can see, sure enough, the client came in with a score of 25 and left with a score of 11. So that matrix that makes up the scatter chart is the composition of the first available score and the last available score. Returning once again to the scatter chart, and let's look at those measures again. So this is showing those scoring points. Over here on the left side then we have the summary data. 16 clients, 2 measures, 20 results altogether, and an effect size calculation, a blended effect size calculation of the 2 measures that have been used of 1.4. And you can see the average first and last scores of the measures over here. If we want to then just look at one measure on its own, let's look at Core 10 on its own. We've got 10 clients, 10 results, a very large effect size for Core 10 on its own here, an intake score average of 23.1 and an exit score of 16.1. Now let's look at ORS on its own. Again, 10 clients and an intake score average of 11 and an exit score of 18. So we can very quickly identify from our caseload which clients are currently not doing very well, which ones are the closest they are to this dotted line will be less change. Let's look at another example. This case here, looking at ORS, you can see not very much change. So it brings our attention to it. And again, just going back again, let's look at scatter chart again. So you can see how we can use this now to get a picture of our caseload and how our clients are progressing.